So whose episode is this going to be?
Yours.
Yeah, it's yours. It's a multiple 3.
I know. I don't know how to count. Okay.
This is
Would
your
we like to go ahead and do our count off and clap?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Okay. Ready, Hans?
I'm ready.
All right.
But you can't check your 6. It's kind of like, taking a screwdriver to a gunfight. What's happening? Just like on top.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Glad you could be here.
Who are you?
Glad you can make it. How are you doing today? Are you having a good week?
I'm doing well. I'm doing good.
I'm not talking. Shut up. I'm talking to the loyal listeners.
Oh,
our
never mind.
viewers audience. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, Aaron. I hope you're having a good week too. But hello, dear listener. I hope you're having a good week. I hope you're ready to hear about, for maybe 40 minutes to an hour, about the film Black Dawn, also known as Foreigner 2, Black Dawn, allegedly. I am your intrepid host for this evening, Zachary Weiberg.
I'm Aaron, your co-host, who was desperately wishing for this to be much more of a Foreigner 2 than it actually is.
I'm Hans. I'm just here.
Well, we're glad you're here. And we're glad you're here listening to us. Yeah, so this week's movie is Black Dawn. Allegedly a sequel to the previous Seagal film, The Foreigner, which we have covered in a previous episode.
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
It's not actually that strange for a movie to have a sequel come out 2 years later. I think it is a bit strange when we had, 5 movies between these?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since we had The Foreigner, and then Out for Kill, Belly of the Beast, Out of Reach, Into the Sun, Submerged, and Today You Die. 6 movies actually between this. So we are back with Jonathan Cold, a character so compelling and memorable that we had to give him a second movie. And that's it. We're back with nobody else. We're back with none of the other plot beats. We're back with none of the other same settings or locations. We're back with none of the same... We are back with Jonathan Cold and pretty much a reset other than that.
Yeah,
It's really not even... It's not even like the same character. They just have the same name.
No,
he doesn't act the same way at all. I don't even think he has the same backstory. He's a different
they change
character.
his There's a retcon in his backstory in this movie.
Oh, retcon. What will the lore, the canon, what will the fans say?
I know. So imagine, dear listener, The Foreigner, but all the fun stuff taken out.
No Dunoir.
And at one point, literally a flashback where they use like 10 seconds of footage from The Foreigner.
Yeah, but it didn't have the best character in it.
No, we did not have Boudoir in there. The only connective tissue between those two movies is this 20-second flashback scene. But anyway, let's talk about what this movie brings to the table. Black Dawn brings very little to the table. This is not a Thanksgiving feast of a movie.
Not a whole lot. Like, not even a title that makes sense.
No, I cannot tell you what the Black Dawn is. We find ourselves with the Chechens because when you want to make an action film and cannot commit to the Russian as the villain, we go with the Chechen. They would like to nuke California for reasons.
They do not explain why.
They really don't
believe they explain, other than they're just kind of upset.
Usher in a new economic paradigm, but no one can tell you why.
Actually, they do explain it. What the explanation comes during the intro, the opening credits, when they say "spare nobody" or "we will be slaves forever," and they say that at least 40 times. I didn't count. I should have counted.
I know you want to get. I know you have to get on with the synopsis, but that intro sequence. Oh my god, it's trying.
It killed me.
It's trying so hard to be the Bourne Identity during this intro sequence.
Yes,
and it's just with the music, with the tension, but they're
looking down a scope of a sniper rifle.
Yeah,
which, by the way, that it moves, is like 30 feet from the target. Just the parallax doesn't work.
Like as they're doing all of the intro, whatever, this whole sequence is also the like opening credits, and there are so many credits.
There's so many people working on this movie because it has like 10 producers.
And just because they all get their own little like freeze frame or like little animation, title animation for their name. Screen
Which, by
fade
the way,
to black
looks like
name.
it was done in Windows Movie Maker. Like,
Oh,
okay, yes,
so
which I
bad
think
with,
was
like, the zoom and
legitimately
pan.
made in Windows Movie Maker. I'm not even kidding.
So
like,
bad.
Because they
just,
do
like,
it with the
standard
credits here,
Microsoft
and then
fonts.
also, anytime they use a font in this movie, they do like a weird thing where they say like day 1, day 2, day 3. It
it's
doesn't
like
matter. It doesn't
Arial
factor in.
black. Like it's
It is literally a red, slightly italicized like Arial. I think it is like the default for Windows Movie Maker.
Yep.
No, that
just
like
bad.
just radicalized me while I was watching this.
Yeah, but because they had because the sequence was so long, they had to make it, I guess, somewhat interesting. So they had dialogue, but they just repeated it over and over and over again, like 30 times.
No, I'm gonna blow your mind right now.
All right.
The editor for this movie, Todd C. Ramsey, was the editor for Star Trek: The Motion Picture, The Thing, and Escape from New York.
What?
That's not right.
That's what IMDb is telling me. That the editor for this movie was the editor on Star Trek: The Motion Picture, The Thing, Escape from New York.
IMDb is wrong. I refuse to believe that.
Those were his first 3 credits. And then it was just all downhill from there.
Then it's been downhill.
All right, I'm sorry. This is my fault. We got to get Zach. Tell us what happens in this movie.
No, okay, but just to reiterate, what happens in the very beginning? They're like they're doing some weird, sketchy stuff, constructing some kind of dirty bomb, and they say, "Spare no one, Julia," and she says, "Or we will be slaves forever," or like, "We'll forever be slaves," something along those lines, like 50 times. John Cold is Seagal. Seagal is hired to break a guy out of prison by that guy's brother. I'm not going to know any of his names. They're like the Donovans or something. Donovan A hires him to break Donovan B out of prison. But really Donovan B is like the guy kind of in charge. He's like an arms dealer because he says, you can only make money from 2 things, drugs and weapons, and I don't like drugs. So he sells weapons. And Jonathan Cold appears to like stick around and team up with them because he did such a good breakout. You know, Donovan B is like, hey, brother, maybe you organize this, but he's really the guy that got me out. So like, he's with us.
And there's no reason for that.
No,
like
there's no, if you stopped and said there's no reason for that every time there's no reason for something, that would be the entire synopsis. They are going to sell bomb parts to the Chechens because they want to blow up Los Angeles. They want to make Las Vegas beachfront property. I don't know. They have investments there, and they mention also something about like, we'll pay you in diamonds. We've been scouring the world for diamonds, and they'll be the only thing of value in the new world. So you'll be a rich man. Like they, again, like you said, some kind of weird understanding of economics.
Well, the Chechens also fully plan to all die.
Yes,
they
plan to be
say
martyrs
over and
for
over
this.
they want to be martyrs. Yeah,
they stand they stand next to the bomb at the
Their
end.
plan is to set the bomb off and just be like, and just give each other a thumbs up during the whole 5-minute countdown.
Yes,
and just blow up with it. John Cold's former students named Amanda. Not in the last movie. When you see this and you see like, oh, his former student, you may think, oh, this was a character from the... No, not mentioned in the previous movie. This is a new character, but was apparently allegedly his former student, and they have a weird relationship.
Yeah, it gets worse as the movie goes on.
It only gets worse. It only can get worse, and it only does get worse. She's spying, just doing recon on the Donovans, like told not to engage, just taking photos. So you just end up hearing this like camera shutter click like 400 times throughout the movie.
Oh my god, there was so much camera shutter.
The whole
and it's
time.
all the exact same like clip art sound effects. They didn't vary it at all, and it's just repeating it over and over and over
every single
again.
time like a person gets out of a car or talks to another person, they're just doing this.
It was so obnoxious.
This deal ends up going bad, and her and her partner get caught, and her partner gets killed. But Seagal helps her get away. So now Seagal and her team up, and she very correctly points out, like, you're the whole reason they have like these nuclear things. He like straight up just gives the nuclear material to like terrorists. Like, she very correctly says, you're the reason they have what they want and are able to do what they want with what they want. Yeah. And he says, we don't have time to talk about that. And then they proceed to do nothing for the next like 20 minutes.
People.
He just flip-flops.
He just straight up works for the bad guys and then teams up to work with like the good guys. And when she's like, what the heck, dude? He's like, I work so far above you, you don't even know. So he's like the thing is, weirdly enough, we talk about Seagal movies trying to make commentary and stuff. He basically just is high enough in the CIA or FBI or something where they're just like, oh, we don't really have anything for you to do. Do you just want to like smuggle crack into like poor neighborhoods, or do you just want to like sell plutonium to like Chechen terrorists? Like, he gets to the level of the CIA where they just like, actually, do you want to do bad things? Like, and somehow that helps.
They
America?
never explain how this mission could have possibly helped anyone.
Nope.
No, his plan was to just straight up do exactly what the bad guys want, and then when asked about it, be like, you don't understand.
Yeah,
you don't
so
have the
like I
clearances
was theorizing through this movie, is it like that he needed to figure out who all was involved in this conspiracy? Except the 2 FBI agents who are watching him figure out the whole conspiracy through like Google searches. Like they figure out the scientist who is smuggling out the plutonium by just like Googling the guy. That none of this operation needed to happen. There is no reason for plutonium to ever have left that laboratory. But anyway.
And then just he and Amanda take out the guys selling the stuff to the Chechens and take out the Chechens. There's like weirdly enough like a fight at like a mannequin warehouse that they leave and then kind of go back to and have like another fight in the same location, which was pretty funny. And I was actually very sad because an odd thing to me was that like having this like kind of fight in a mannequin warehouse is like creepy and kind of like interesting in terms of locations, like more interesting than like just being in a random street or something. Like you could do something kind of fun or interesting with a mannequin fight. They don't do that.
They like choose not to.
At one point, like a guy shoots and it like accidentally like, you know, blows a mannequin's head off instead of a person's head. I'm like, yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. You can do interesting things with this set, and then like that's it. But you know, of course, there's like the 2 main, you know, Chechens left. The one from that opening sequence with the, of course, you know, kill everyone or we'll be slaves. They plant the bomb. It's very weird. They want to plant it at a bank, like earlier on they mentioned wanting like you would think they want to put it near a power plant.
They do say that there are people after them trying to kill them. They're just going to have to set it off here.
Well, no, So the building that they go to, they own like a shell company that has an office on like a high floor in this building, but the elevator's out of order, so they just set it off on the ground.
Yeah, they like choose the building specifically. They mention like I swear someone at the beginning says something like set it off near like a power plant or like.
Well, that's how Seagal knows where they're going, is because he knows that the Chechens own a shell company in this office building.
Right. So I don't know why they chose.
It's like a 30-story office building, and they own an office on the top floor or whatever.
But like their plutonium bomb is briefcase sized. You could toss it in a random dumpster.
Yeah.
So they choose this building, but it is very funny because they take the time to break into this building where she like gets the security guard's attention and he finally lets her in, and like then she like tells her lie. It's very strange. Like she's in the building successfully and could just shoot him, but she's like, oh, my dad has an office up there, can you buzz him? And the guard goes to buzz him in, and then she like the guy's like, what's his name? And she goes, Bob, and shoots him.
No, she shoots him and then says Bob.
Oh, thank you. I don't know, but like she
just
lies to him after she already accomplished what she needed, which was getting in the building,
and lies to him again after he was dead.
Right. Lets the other guy in. They get and they see that the elevator doesn't work, and then they just go, okay, we'll just set it off here, then like right next to the elevator in the lobby.
It's a nuke. There's really no difference.
Right. But it's like a weirdly non-committal. It's like something I would do. It's like, screw it. Just put it here.
It seemed to me like the film location where they were going to shoot that day. The elevator was out, and they were like, well, I guess we'll just say that we're doing it in the lobby.
That works.
They didn't write that in. That's just how it was.
I honestly thought like they tried to rent an office somewhere up in this building so they could do it like an actual office building, like an empty office building for it, but they couldn't afford it.
Like the set like on the studio lot just didn't get built in time, so they're like, we'll just use the lobby.
Yeah.
It turns out that the Amanda's like handler, the guy in charge of her, is he was working with them the whole time. He was the mastermind. I bet you didn't see that coming, other than the fact that like immediately you knew that guy was going to turn out to be evil. So he takes out the Chechens, but then Skull and Amanda show up and take him out, and they go, okay, well now we have this nuke here, so actually, there's a button to turn the elevators back on at the guard desk, so then they get an elevator immediately.
And dear audience, have you ever seen The Dark Knight Rises?
Okay, yeah, you stole my thunder. This is my plot recap.
Well, you missed. So they turned the bomb on, like the bomb was armed.
It's ticking down,
and it has a counter of 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Well, and
5 minutes.
Seagal walks into the room and says, "Step away from the device." He never calls it a bomb. And I had flashbacks to Ticker.
Back to Ticker.
They're not called
bombs. I had war flashbacks.
Before Aaron stole my thunder, they had an active nuke in the building. And then, dear listener, the movie turns into Batman: The Dark Knight Rises. That is what I was going to say. I understand this is not a novel observation. I understand every person watching this film today would have this observation, but it's my recap, so it is my observation. By God-given rights.
I've never actually seen The Dark Knight Rises.
What?
Oh, you should watch The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah,
Spoiler
it's just like
alert.
Black Dawn, but like a million times better.
It's like the third best of the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. But spoiler alert, the ending is the same exact ending as this movie. Down to like the fancy restaurant they're eating at.
Well, they take a nuclear bomb up a really slow elevator to the roof of a building.
And then they attach it to the bottom of a helicopter and fly it out over the ocean.
Well, to be fair, it's attached to the bottom of the Batwing.
Yeah, whatever.
But they have a nuke, so they fly it out and
helicopter.
drop it and come back and somehow survive despite like being within spitting distance of the mushroom cloud. And then just like The Dark Knight Rises, they're just sitting in like a fancy restaurant, so you know they're okay. Except here, she's on the phone with the FBI or CIA or something, and she's like, "Oh yes, you know what we did was heroic. Oh, the president, I would love to meet him." Which off movie. Oh, the president? I would be honored. No, it'll just be one ticket. And we just see Seagal, Jonathan Cold walking off into the distance.
Waddling off into the distance.
Waddling off into the distance in a very weirdly ill-fitting outfit.
Like
His
a
silhouette
really
is
large
trash,
suit coat.
with baggy pants. And that's Black Dawn.
We theorized a long time ago that Hideo Kojima is like a secret Seagal fan.
No.
Is Christopher Nolan the secret Seagal fan? And was just like really laughing to himself that he got a Seagal reference into the final.
Wait, when did The Dark Knight Rises come out?
It came out after.
Way after Black Dawn.
I will point out that, like, that is maybe the most mocked part of that movie. That Dark Knight Rises overall is a pretty solid film, but like the fact that they fly a nuke out, that he flies the nuke out into the ocean and then like survives is patently ridiculous.
But it like, is like beat for beat.
Yeah, it is. So you need to watch The Dark Knight Rises like this week because you will. It is eerie how similar that ending is.
I'll have to do that.
It is a shot-for-shot remake.
I think Christopher Nolan was playing a jokey joke on us. Like he has to have seen this movie.
Here's the thing that I don't understand. They were in. Where were they at? They were in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
So they flew out, I'm guessing, out into the Pacific Ocean to drop this bomb.
Oh, yeah.
The timer on the bomb was set for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. They had to ride the elevator up to the top of this building, get in a helicopter. What?
The timer is inconsistent.
Yeah.
I know at one point it shows 2:30.
When it's first is set, when the guy hits the button, it shows 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the timer.
But then it switches to 5 minutes. It shows 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
And then it's down to like 4 minutes when they get to the helicopter, and then it's down to like 30 seconds when they drop it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The point is that's not nearly enough time. They're not going to get out. They can't even get out of Los Angeles. No, they drop it with
30 seconds left.
They can't even get out of Los Angeles itself with that, like, they're not even going to be over water in the amount of time that was left on that timer after getting in a helicopter. And then he says to her, "How deep do you think that water is?" And she goes, "I don't know, like 1,000 feet." As they're just like barely off the beach, and they drop a nuke, and it's like, oh man,
it's pretty rough.
Bad movie, bad time, bad idea, bad writing, bad everything. You know what? Actually, not bad everything, because one of my notes in here is that the one thing that I actually think was actually decent about this movie were all of the actors except Seagal, actors and actresses. They played their parts very well, and they played their parts pretty convincingly. Seagal, of course, didn't. It was a pretty stark contrast when he was talking to any of the other dialogue that was happening between any of the other characters, but they weren't bad.
They weren't great, but yeah, they weren't bad.
Okay, but given where we are right now, it was just a stark contrast between Seagal saying like, "So listen, here's this thing, and you're going to do that. You hear?" and then one of the bad guys actually having like a real conversation with somebody else. It was
well, and so maybe something that played into that, like during the opening credits, like the first credit is for Sony Pictures.
I have that in my notes. Sony Pictures and then Steamroller Productions. That's his company.
Yeah.
And they have they've been involved in some way in the last few ones. They seem to have, like, in the post Warner Brothers era, it's mostly been like Sony Pictures, but this is like the most prominently they've displayed themselves. And I would not think that this is the movie they'd say, yeah, let's put ourselves front and center on, but you know, what do I know?
You said, Hans, that the beginning of this movie looks a lot like Bourne.
The Bourne Identity, yeah.
Yeah,
Are you going to say what I think you're going to say?
They steal... Well, I'm not going to say it because I don't use our Lord's name in vain. But...
You are going to say what... Yeah.
Yes!
They say it's the Bourne Identity line.
Yeah, he goes...
The meme. They just do the meme.
The agent, she's like looking through her camera with the obnoxious shutter noise going like crazy. And she looks up in the camera and goes... Jesus Christ, that's Jonathan Cold. And it's the exact same line that I can't remember his name, says, Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne. It's the exact same line.
They say the meme. I think in general, you get a sense of this movie while watching it that it is trying to be Bourne in a lot of ways, just because, you know, it was the early to mid 2000s. A lot of action movies are trying to be Bourne. It's not even like, you know, unique and trying to steal that.
No.
But when they literally said that line, I said, okay, this is crossing some kind of a line. This is becoming outright plagiarism.
Yeah. They just say the most famous line from the Bourne movies.
I would not be surprised if, like, for all three of us, our favorite quote this episode was Jesus Christ, it's Jonathan Cold, just because you point and you go, the meme.
I couldn't stop laughing because beyond the intro sequence, and then you have, you know, he's the rogue agent and they don't know what he's doing or whatever, and it just all fit.
Actually,
way
my
too
favorite
well.
line comes from the hacker guy who just like shows up at the end of the movie.
Oh, okay,
yes.
Easily the best character. Go on.
Easily the best character. He's not the
great.
Dunoir of this movie, but he's the closest thing we get. He's the most relatable human being because he actually acts like a human being in this movie.
Yeah.
Like Seagal just walks into his house. Apparently Seagal has like a team of agents working under him.
Yeah.
So here's the major retcon from the previous film. In the Foreigner 1, the OG, Seagal does not work for the CIA anymore. He's out. He explains this to some other people. That he was, when he was in the CIA, what's called a foreigner, which is a super undercover agent. Like, deep undercover. But he's since out, and he's just doing, like, mercenary work on the side. In this movie, apparently, he's so deep undercover that even the director of the CIA doesn't know he's undercover. And he's so deep undercover that every other CIA agent has a kill-on-sight order for him.
Yes.
But apparently he's still working for the CIA.
Yes.
So
Because of course.
And so you get like 7/8 of the movie through this movie, and then suddenly he has a team of other CIA agents working for him. Like he just walks into this guy's house, like his hacker guy. Like there was a whole TV show that we didn't see about this relationship between Seagal and this hacker guy. And the hacker guy is like, he's the only truly relatable character. He acts like a human being would. Like, Seagal just walks into his house and makes these totally unreasonable demands about information that he wants from this hacker guy. And I think someone on the crew must have known something about computers and, like, early internet. Because Seagal will ask for something, and he's like, what you're doing, I could do it. It would take months. What do you want? Like, I can't do that.
I'll
you
just
want the
bypass
encrypted emails of the director of the CIA? I can't do that.
He's really sarcastic about it too. Oh yeah, I'll just bypass the most secure email security in the country and get that for you. It'll only take a little bit.
Yeah. And Seagal doesn't just tells him to leave. It doesn't tell them the danger. This is my favorite line in the whole movie, and I can't say it. But he doesn't explain to the hacker guy what the danger is. He just tells him to get out of town. And that's how he's paying him for his services. Is telling him to uproot his life and leave. And then the hacker guy looks back at his computer and looks at all the information that Seagal asked him to get, and he comes to the realization of what's happening. And it's very funny. But anyway.
I like to imagine, though, in that scenario, that when he tells the guy just like, oh, make sure you just like, leave town, and doesn't tell him anything else, like, I just like to picture this guy leaving and then being like a month later, just like, so
can I go
back? Is that how long was this having to leave thing? Did they stop it? Can I go? Although it's funny that you say that weird, like somebody must have had some computer knowledge on set, because earlier on in the movie there was something that like a very kind of NCIS quality computer understanding line that stuck out to me when he says something along the lines of like they're making him like a fake ID, and he says like, make sure the numbers in that encryption are right, I don't want to be stuck at the door, and they go, yeah, it's an almost perfect match, and they just like Photoshop his face onto another ID card, and that's their hacking.
I do want to say an almost perfect match would still not let you in.
Yeah, those numbers are, he says, make sure the number is right, and they say it's almost perfect, but that really should have been like, it's almost perfect. Close enough.
Yeah.
And he seems to accept that.
Yep.
So both paradoxically a scene where you think, okay, that's like fairly grounded. Yes, that is a ridiculous request. And also another scene that is just, okay, come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Maybe actually one of my favorite quotes is right after he rescues the guy from prison and they're cruising down the road doing like 60 miles an hour. And he's like, oh, it's good to be out. Like, can't believe I'm glad to be stuck in LA traffic.
And they're not.
And they're driving on a highway going full highway speed. There is no traffic. Because it just shows the laziness of the movie. I laughed when the guy says, dang, I can't believe I'm glad to be in LA traffic. And like Seagal like cannot even acknowledge it because his eyes are on the road because he is driving at full speed with no traffic. What
silly.
I mean, what else do we have to say about The Foreigner 2? Black Dawn. It's always darkest before dawn.
I really wish it were The Foreigner too. Like, I really wish this had anything to do with The Foreigner. Top 3 favorite Seagal movies.
I do have a quote.
Oh, what's your quote?
The CIA, what's her name? I can't remember her name.
The like main type
Amanda something. Amanda Stewart. Her handler, who turns out to be the bad guy, obviously.
Whoa.
He tells her, when she tells him that Jonathan Cold is still out there, he's not dead. They all thought he was dead. He says to her, be careful, dead or alive, Jonathan Cold is a dangerous man. And it's like, dead or alive, he's a dangerous man. Dangerous, right? Like, they didn't think that through.
I think there's a lot they didn't think through. Aaron,
yes.
To your points, do you want to know some fun behind-the-scenes information about this movie?
I would love to know some fun behind-the-scenes information on this movie.
Apparently, according to the IMDb trivia section,
which we know is dubious,
super trustworthy. Well, this one does actually have this. This has a little more credibility to it. I did a little more research outside of that to like make sure that this seems to line up with reality. The film is apparently infamous for Seagal's almost complete lack of involvement in any of the fight scenes.
Oh.
I guess they just paid him up front. They said, we don't want you to like, crap out halfway through this movie. So we're going to just like pay you up front for it. Like, just so you'll actually participate in this movie that we've written. Mm-hmm. And then he left 18 days into the 30-day shoot. So he just crapped out like halfway through.
What?
So they paid him an upfront fee. Then they wrote the scripts. But then after they wrote that script, Seagal said, I want to play the same character I played in The Foreigner. It was his idea to bring back Jonathan Cold. So then they had to pretty much completely rewrite the movie because this had nothing to do with Jonathan Cold or The Foreigner.
Yeah.
Perhaps this, canonical inconsistency you have noted came from that. He refused to film any fight scenes. He was argumentative and uncommunicative on sets. And so they just had to use doubles for a lot of the fight scenes. I guess they had Tamara Davies, who was playing Amanda, film some like fight scenes to like help fill time, but then they ended up cutting them because it's like, oh, this is now basically like her, like she's doing more of the action in this movie than Seagal is. It's like very clear, like it's like more noticeable that he's missing for fight scenes when she had more fight scenes, so they removed them.
Can I just say, if she were the main character of this movie and he were like a background character who just happened to be Jonathan Cold from that last movie, it would make a whole lot more sense.
So much better.
Oh yeah, like this is her story. She is tracking these people. He just kind of gets hired to get one of them out of prison and then teams up with them and then teams up against them.
What he's doing.
This is her story.
It's the same thing as so many of these movies where his character is just sort of incidentally there.
Right. If he wasn't there, the same movie could just happen.
If anything, it would have gone better. He wasn't there.
This is at least the 5th time we said that, though, for one of these movies.
But, like, this could just be the movie of her trying to figure out what Seagal is doing, and it's actually from her perspective, and Seagal's just, like, playing Jonathan Cold. He could still play that character, could still do pretty much everything he does, but just tell the story from her perspective, and it's just a much better movie.
Yep.
And then the director has said that the experience was bad enough that he swore off directing feature films.
Oh my God, really?
And sure enough, he has only directed apparently one TV film and a few shorts since this. He has not the director of this movie has not directed another feature film after this because the experience was that bad.
I come back to my question that I ask every couple episodes. Why is anyone hiring Seagal in this point?
Well, and even in this one, that they're like, okay, dude, can we just give you the money up front and you not be a dick? And then he shows up and then he is a dick and then he just leaves and the production company is like, can't do anything. It's Seagal. You gotta use body doubles and bad CGI to do the rest.
Does he have...
And you have no budget left. Good luck.
Does he have blackmail on everyone, or...
He has to, because they're like, well, think it's a money laundering over thing. Absolutely everyone, so have fun.
I think the general message of all these episodes so far is, hey, Steven, could you do a little bit better?
Hey, Steven, could you do a little bit less?
Or could you just stop?
Could you just not?
Hey, everybody who is being blackmailed by Steven, like, it's not worth it. I don't know what.
Black Dawn, more like blackmail, because that's the only way this movie got produced.
Only way. I don't understand.
It's not worth it.
The previous 20 movies have been... Pretty much most of them have been disasters. So, like, how is he even here?
Hey, like Warner Brothers or Sony Picture Home Entertainment or like, Steamroller Productions or like Andrew Stevens Productions, whatever. Hey, film producer. So like you cheated on your wife and Seagal got a picture of you. So like you were selling crack to school kids and like Seagal knows about this somehow. Just let him tell the world. Then we don't have to have any more of these movies. Just air the dirty laundry and you're free. We're free. Everyone's free. We're all better off. Be a hero. We won't even judge you. Share your search history with the world. We'll thank you for it, because then he'll have nothing to hold over you, and we won't have any more of these movies.
You'll be free.
Yeah. It's like 8 Mile. Like, just say the bad stuff about you before he can, and then he has no power over you.
There's a lot of freedom in confession.
Yeah. Or just go to confession.
Coming from the Catholic priest.
Yeah.
Go to confession, and then that priest you confess to gets kidnapped, and they feed him truth serum, and then they get that information out of him, and then you don't have to finance any more Seagal movies. You're free. You're welcome. And yeah, like we know about your coke habit, but like you're a movie executive, of course you have a coke habit. There's no shame in the game.
There's everyone knew that already.
Yeah,
everyone already knew that.
Don't let this man blackmail you anymore. Kick him to the curb. That's where he belongs.
Oh my God.
Do that for me.
I mean, at this point, you're a movie producer. There's nothing bad that you could have done that another movie producer isn't famous for having done.
Right. You can be, Harvey Weinstein Part 2. Just share it with the world. What's worse that's going to happen?
No one will even know.
You have to make another Seagal movie? You're already doing that. Can't be anything worse than that.
I honestly think it's a money laundering thing. He's got ties to the mob or something. And someone in power wants him to keep making movies so they can keep funneling cash through Steamroller Productions.
Right.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
There's like an actual Chechen mafia that...
Because it's just like every single director, actor, stunt person, crew member hates him. And they're like, sorry, what are you going to do? All right, we got to side with him again on this, Seems like he's in the right.
What? Why?
Or just movie studio executives are very, 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 very dumb, which could not possibly be the case. As we've seen, they only handle things in the most intelligent
but don't
and
you know that
forthcoming
Seagal
manner.
made money on 3 movies in the 80s? He's got to be bankable.
Yeah. It's the year 2005. Steven Seagal is it. He will get this movie made. He has only dragged down the last 17 of his 20 movies.
Haven't you heard of the 20-year cycle?
This is the one. This is the one where he'll give a shit again.
It's just that the last 15 movies have been total flops.
The last 15 movies have been total flops, which we can trace directly back to him being a dick on set and not cooperating, but this time he'll pull it off. 20th time's the charm.
Can you look at the poster for this real quick?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the poster is Seagal and Tamara Davies standing like back to back, holding guns out in the same direction with an explosion in the background, right? So her hand and her gun, I think it's the same gun, but it's like cropped in such a way that her hand and the gun are a lot smaller than his.
The poster I'm looking at does not have Tamara Davies on it at all.
There's two
really?
posters.
Yeah.
Aaron, are you looking at the one where it's Seagal in front of like the nuke going off and there's like a dude doing like a ninja kick like on another dude?
Which never happens in the movie, but yeah.
Yes. This one I cannot verify as much, so I will not 100% say that this is a true fact. Apparently, it is alleged that there is an interview with Seagal where he said he did not participate in the photo shoots for the cover, and the production company insisted that there had to be a picture of two people doing flying kicks on the front cover, despite it never happening in the movie. I don't know if that's true. We've seen ridiculous IMDb facts before, but to be fair, something that can't be disputed is on this cover there is like two dudes doing like flying kick, like a dude doing a flying kick at another dude, and that doesn't happen in the movie.
No.
I guess just like, whose idea that was, I won't firmly state.
I like to think that that's actually the silhouette of Jean-Claude Van Damme.
It could be. It kind of looks like him, like early Van Damme. I could see that, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know which one of these posters is better because they're both very bad.
I just can't get over that they like
Very
intentionally cropped her hand and her gun to be a lot smaller than his.
But also, I'm just having trouble understanding like the geometry of it, because from some angles it looks like they're back to back, but from some angles it looks like she's like her. It's like her front is like to his back. Like it's a weird like MC Escher illusion.
Actually, that's actually a really good point, because if you look at how she's holding the gun,
yes,
she's not. If they were back to back, he's holding it with his right hand, and she's holding it. If they were back to back, she would be holding it with her left hand, but she's not holding it with her left hand because her trigger finger's not. You can't see it, so she's holding it with her right hand. So you can see the front of her pants. So is standing like front to back behind him.
You can, like,
but
see
they
through
moved
the
her
trigger
arm
guard of Seagal's gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Different
like
background.
It's just bad. It's a bad poster.
It's like that Grand Theft Auto cover where the girl has like the extra finger or something. It's something like that where you're just like,
what?
They were doing like a Photoshop on like the bottom half of this and then the top half of this, and the Photoshops like didn't match up, and they just kind of made it work.
It's just bad. It's very bad.
Pretty rough.
It's comically bad.
So we've gotten to the point of poster critique, so that's when you can tell the episode's kind of winding down a bit.
We really didn't have a lot to say about this one or the last one.
The last episode was really short. This episode's feeling like it's going to be really short. I am afraid. Well, so the last 15 episodes have been monstrously long, and so maybe this is a good trend that these are going to be more bite-sized going forward. But I kind of want something to talk about.
Well, what's gonna happen? The next 5 episodes will be 20-minute chunks, almost like nice little bite-sized commute ones, and then we're gonna hit a movie where we just have a 7-hour episode.
Yeah.
As soon as we hit the goatee era, I think we're gonna have a lot to say, because that's when he starts slurring his words because he can't talk right anymore. And that sounds mean. That's not any kind of mental breakdown on this man. It's that he's just that lazy.
It's just that he's been speaking like this for so long that he just he forces himself to vocally deteriorates.
Yeah.
So this movie was made in the 2005 version of Windows Movie Maker. Confirmed.
Like the one I was using as a child to make Lego movies.
Confirmed.
Oh, I made stop motion Lego movies when I was in middle school.
And I guarantee they were better than Black Dawn.
Oh yeah.
I
saw
really
you look over at your screen to see what the name of the movie was. I saw your head Batman. Move.
It was great.
I really thought, what was the one that we couldn't remember the name of? Which I understand is a very funny question to ask. What was the name of the movie that we couldn't remember the name of?
Today You Die?
No.
What happened in it?
Yeah. Jog my memory.
What was the name of
Out for a Kill,
Seagal's character?
Out for a Kill?
Oh, you think... No, Out of Reach. I think Out of Reach we just couldn't remember. We literally started recording and forgot the name of it 30 times. Black Dawn. I really thought the last movie, the movie that we watched last week, had like a very forgettable, like we didn't talk about it for a week and we came back to it. I couldn't remember it at all. I thought that was the most forgettable one. But then like as soon as, you know, you read the synopsis, it like kickstarted my memory and I could kind of remember things. Oh yeah, there was a prison break. Oh yeah, there was like weird mysticism. Like that still had some kind of hallmarks to latch onto. This one does not. I think from this one, I will just remember it is a connection to it is a sequel to The Foreigner with no connections, and then remember nothing else about the plot. This was
and Computer Guy.
Just, you know, like when you like to compare it to food. I'm not even saying that this is a movie that you eat and it's like bland, like plain oatmeal. You eat this, you don't even taste blandness. You just taste nothing. This is just like, this movie is just the absence of movie.
That's all I can say about it. Nutri-Grain like fruit granola bar thing.
Without the fruit,
I'll just
grain, and without
like,
the Nutra.
I'll eat one of those and just immediately forget that I ate it. The flavor vanishes from my mouth immediately. It only has flavor while I'm eating it.
Like, you know the sensation of like walking into a room and then like forgetting what you're supposed to do and just going like, huh.
It's the liminal space of movies.
That's this movie. Yeah. It's like the room reset, like just, yeah, pretty much like you said, if you just like eat something, or if you're like, you take a sip from your water bottle, then you set it down, you take a sip from your coffee and you set that coffee down, and then like you, like 30 minutes later, you're like, oh, now I have room temperature coffee. Like, that's this movie.
Yeah.
Black Dawn. Any other? Oh, what would we watch? What would we have people watch instead of Black Dawn?
The Foreigner.
The Foreigner. Very easy choice.
Really...
You should watch Black Dawn, the prequel, The Foreigner. Black Dawn 0, The Foreigner.
We just, based on the timing of when we record these and when they come out, I just listened to our episode of The Foreigner.
Yeah, today I listened to it.
And it's, first of all, very funny.
It's very funny.
Wow.
I'm
sorry,
second of all,
I had
you made it this far. I made it to these very unfunny episodes.
Yeah. I had a really bad time, apparently, watching The Foreigner.
Yeah,
and
you
thinking
did.
back on it.
I cut out some of your criticisms.
Damn, silenced.
Thinking back on
marketplace
it,
of ideas.
This is why I think I need more time to sort of ruminate on these a little bit, because thinking back on it, it was much funnier than I realized it was at the time.
No, this was a consistent, it hasn't been as much lately. This was a consistent thing for the while, and you know, episodes 10 through 17 or whatever, that like, if Aaron and Zach were having a good time, if we were having a fun time, Hans was being a hater. Yeah. Hans was committed to hating.
Well, that's because I was just coming off of really good action movies, and then we had to sit down on Wednesday before we recorded, because I wasn't going to do it early, and watch a terrible movie.
We almost need to watch these in like reverse order, because if you watched Black Dawn and then watched The Foreigner, you would just know exactly how much worse it could be.
That's very
Now
true.
You're retroactively like, oh, that actually wasn't that bad.
It's very true.
Did we talk about favorite quotes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We already did that.
It was Jesus Christ. Dang, I can't even. This movie is so forgettable. I'm not even like forgetting the movie. I'm like forgetting conversations I had about this movie. It's like the Men in Black like memory wipe device. Or like it's to make a more obscure reference, spoiler alerts for the Adventure Zone balance arc. It's like the Void Fish.
Yeah.
Like, not only do I forget about this movie, I forget about every conversation I ever had about this movie and anything like tangentially. Like, my brain will kind of remember today, but like blind spot fill in the hour and a half where I watch this. It won't let me like recall.
Or if you're a different kind of nerd, it's like the Doctor Who silence.
That's a better reference. Yeah.
You see them, look at them, and go, "That's kind of interesting." And the instant you look away, it's completely gone from your brain.
That's perfect. That's exactly what this is, yes.
An empty suit.
Boy, I wish there was just anything my brain could latch onto with this movie, but there was nothing. All right, how do we
close this?
We already closed it. You have to go back and find that part and then put it here.
Which part?
I don't remember. We said it. You'll find it. I don't remember what it was.
That means one of us has to die.
This has a 22% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, that actually surprises.
Does it?
That it's that high.
I will point out, though, that it has a 22% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. There's only 2 reviews from critics, and they're both negative. So it's not enough reviews where it gives you like the critics score, but if it was, it would be a 0%.
Oh, can we have ourselves accredited as real critics? We are
How
published
do
critics.
I become
but only
a
as Steven
critic on Rotten Tomatoes?
We are published.
Hey, we're gonna start a listener campaign to get us accredited to review movies on
let's go to Rotten Tomatoes.
Get us on Rotten Tomatoes.
Let's fucking tank the critic review scores of every Steven Seagal movie on Rotten Tomatoes. That's the goal. That's the mission.
So we're I know we have we're only 20% through all of the. I'm sorry.
40%.
40%. Yeah, sorry. 40% through this.
Which sounds a lot better than 2/5.
It does. But we are going to have to come up with a solid idea at some point for season 2 to keep this rolling.
Yeah, no, there will. Breaking news. Breaking news with your host, Zach. There will be a season 2 of the show. Don't you worry.
Don't worry, dear listener.
And we will be on Rotten Tomatoes as verified critics. Don't you worry.
I really hope so. Can you imagine?
My goal to get on Rotten Tomatoes would very specific. It's not even to like have reviews for Seagal movies. It's very specifically to have a Seagal movie that does not yet have a displayed
critic score
because it doesn't have enough review, and ours is enough to like make it appear
tip it over the
that
scale.
We push one of them. There has to be at least one where one more review pushes it over.
They
the
have
edge
like 5 reviews.
Yeah, and you need 6 or something.
Yeah,
that's my hope.